It's hard for me to believe that Valley Baptist Church is 40 years old. First Sunday of December 1985, we were born. Now I think we call it our anniversary Sunday. So that's our anniversary. It's more like a wedding than a birth, I guess. However you want to approach it. We've been together now for 40 years. I want to talk to you about a simple storyline in this particular presentation that I want to call A Year in the Life of Valley Baptist Church. So we've got all 40 of those years to look at. Any one of those years we could take and highlight this happened, that happened, or this took place, or that took place. But I want to share with you from my perspective how our church grew and how it expanded and how it developed into a process that is cyclical in nature, and it happens again and again and again, and we've refined and we add things to what happens in the life of our church in a year, and then we've taken things away. But let me just try to begin with a standard year that will probably be not unlike our 40th anniversary year together. So let me start not in January. Let me start almost really when, in my mind, when the church year begins is when the school year starts. So the middle of August, 1st of September, I think now school years are starting earlier and earlier. Could even be like the second week of August, school gets started. So let me tell you kind of in a process what happens typically during the course of a year and how God has used these various ideas to be a blessing to us. First of all, let me start with the idea of a servant summit. Pastor Roger went off to a conference at some point in the past, 25, 30 years ago, and he heard about an event that a local church was doing on 4 times a year that they called a servant summit. And this was a time when they brought the leaders of the church together and they fed them a meal and they shared their vision with the leadership of the church of where we want to go for the next 12 months, or it might even be shortened down in the next 3 months or the next 6 months. We thought that was really a good idea, and so we implemented it. And we learned real quick that one of the key components of that was providing a really good meal. Not sandwiches and chips, but I mean a really good meal. And we have always had a wonderful kitchen crew at Valley Baptist Church. For years and years, it was led by Carolyn Cook. She just retired. And she could prepare a meal for more people that was tastier than any other woman that I've ever met in my life. She has the appropriate name, Carolyn Cook. And here's what we learned concerning our church. Feed them and they will come. So we would always have like a tri-tip dinner, or we'd have a deep pit dinner, something like that. And we would kick off the first week or 2 of August with what we called a servant summit. And in that servant summit, we would share the vision. We would cast the vision for where our church needed to go for the next several months, even including a year. And we continue to do that. That has proved to be very successful. And over the years, we've probably had different timings of the servant summit where we would do 2 a year, or we'd do 3 a year. We may have done it even many as 4 a year, but we always kick off kick off the fall program with the servant summit. And to me, it was one of the most exciting events of the year because we were all charged up. We're ready to go after a summer break. And we always had some vision. We want to go this direction. We want to go on that way. Here's what we want to get accomplished for the next year. So we would use that as a platform to share our vision. And God has used it in a wonderful way. And there will certainly be servant summits during this 40th anniversary as we share with the congregation what we think needs to happen, especially as our pastors lead us in that direction. Right after servant summit, we had something that I'm going to lay claim to. I didn't invent everything that happened at Valley Baptist Church, but a few things did. And one of the ideas that I had was something I heard about years ago in another church to get everybody gathered back up after the summer holiday season and get started was called Roundup Sunday. All right? And the idea behind Roundup Sunday is that we would call everybody on the church roll. We would call everyone in our life groups and would say, hey, It's been a long summer. Come on back. We're going to have this big Sunday called Roundup Sunday, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. You come dressed in your Western gear, cowboy hats, cowboy boots, and we're going to tip our hat to the Bakersfield sound. We're going to play a little country music on that Sunday. You know that Bakersfield was and is known for its country music. So my idea is, let's embrace it. That's who we are. And of course, I love country music. And so that gave us an opportunity to play a little country music at least one Sunday out of the year. And you may or may not know that I'm a banjo player. And so Roundup Sunday gave me a platform to show off my banjo playing skills. In fact, I've already been invited to play for the church on the next Roundup Sunday. So every year I look forward to Roundup Sunday because I get to play the banjo. But it served a much bigger purpose than that. It allowed us to contact everybody and get everybody back in gear and get things moving. And then through the fall, usually Pastor Roger would preach a new series of sermons that we would promote that would really be intriguing and hopefully help build the crowd, and it always seemed to do that. And that carried us usually right down to the Thanksgiving season and the Christmas season. Now, I've mentioned before that our anniversary Sunday is the first Sunday of December. So that was a natural opportunity for us to have a big promotion. We would have the Servant Summit, we would have the Roundup Sunday, and then through the fall, we would just be getting after it as much as we possibly could. And then on the first Sunday of December, we would celebrate our anniversary. It was like a birthday celebration. It was like a wedding anniversary. And we would always come up with some different angles. And so the first Sunday of December, we would always have a big Sunday. It was one of the biggest Sundays of the year for us because it was almost like a homecoming. Everybody come back as we celebrate in this coming year, the 40th anniversary. Usually that Sunday night, and it still holds pretty much true as our calendar, we would kick off the Christmas season. So it fed right into the programming that we would have in December, where we would have a big children's program, we have a big choir, would have a big orchestra performance. And all of these were opportunities for us to invite friends and family and co-workers to come be at Valley Baptist Church on a special season. So that would be the Christmas season. So that's pretty full calendar right there, just from August to Christmas. But then we had the spring, which was moving towards Easter Sunday. And we would have another servant summit in January, and we would challenge our leaders, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to do that. And often it would be in those servant summits that we would roll out our vision. We need a new building here, we need to develop more land there, we need to expand in this way. So those leadership times were very important for us in January to kick us off for the spring program. In the spring, we would often have various activities, marriage conferences, apologetic conferences, parenting training events, and they were always have been well attended. And that's continued right up until this 40th anniversary of our church. And all of that was helping us look forward to Easter. And it was always on Easter when we'd have our highest attendance. And Pastor Roger and I had the idea that why don't we push when we're already going to be big? A lot of guys would try to push when they're down. We say, let's push when we're going up. So we would always try to come up with an angle to make Easter Sunday a huge Sunday. And if I'm not mistaken, this last Easter Sunday, we had 7,500 plus on our campuses for that last Easter Sunday. Who knows what it will be this coming Easter Sunday. In fact, I have a vision in my head that I don't think we're far away from one Sunday on an Easter Sunday, we're going to have 10,000 on our campuses. And so that got us all the way through the Easter season, which left us just with one more big push. Strangely enough, it was in the summer, and that was Vacation Bible School. And we've talked a lot about Vacation Bible School and its importance to the life of our church. And then after that in the summer, we would have a camp for children, a camp for middle school, and a camp for high school. And all along the way, there could be retreats sprinkled in. And that would take us all the way back to August, where we do the whole thing over and over again. And when we would hire staff, I would often say, don't panic. It's going to take you a solid year to see how Valley Baptist Church rolls along during the course of a year, and you'll figure it out. But let me just share with you a story about Vacation Bible School. We used to have a big closing at Vacation Bible School. It's a little bit different now. And we would bring literally 2,000 to 3,000 people or more on campus for a Friday night event. And one year I was leading it, of course, and so I was the face of VBS. This mother approached me with 3 kids. And she caught me after the program, and we were going outside to have the big carnival type atmosphere, family night we called it. And she said, "Hey, Pastor, I want to talk to you about something." And I could tell by her tone of voice and by the look in her face that maybe something was wrong. And I said, "Oh, how could I help you?" And she said, "What are you doing down here with these children all week?" And I said, "Well, we've been telling them about Jesus. What can I help you with?" And she said, "Well, we had scheduled on our calendar to go to Disneyland today with our children on this Friday. And last night, whenever we got ready to go to bed, our children laid in bed and cried and said, 'We don't want to go to Disneyland. We want to go back to Vacation Bible School.'" And she said, "What are you guys doing down here?" Now, she was being just a little bit sarcastic, but I told her, as I tried to calm her down, I said, "Look, we're just having fun and talking about Jesus." And I said, "Think how much money I saved you and your husband this week that you don't have to go to Disneyland." So it made me think this: Vacation Bible School at Valley Baptist Church is bigger than Disneyland.